This video is about graph shapes, so we're going to learn how to identify the shape of a graph. So they might give you a graph like this, and you might have to be able to find certain things about it. So one of the first things they'll ask you is is the graph symmetric. That means it's the same on both sides. For example, this graph here, this graph is symmetric. You can see on both sides is the same. But is this graph symmetric? No. The left side looks very different from the right side. So no, it is not symmetric. Symmetric means it looks the same on both sides. Okay, so does the graph have any clusters? Clusters is just where you see a bunch of data points. So where do you see clusters? There are actually two clusters. 2 and 3 are clusters. 4 is not a cluster because it doesn't have anything. 5, 6, and 7 have data, so they're clusters too. This is not a cluster because it doesn't have a bunch of data points like these do. So 2 and 3 are clusters. So 2 to 3 is a cluster. And then 5, 6, and 7 is a cluster too. 5 to 7. Or you could say 5, 6, and 7. They're clusters. So there you have two clusters, 2 to 3, and then 5, 6, and 7. Okay, do we have any gaps? Gaps is where you see no data. 4 is a gap. You don't see any data on 4. So 4 is a gap. 8, 9, 10, and 11. These 4 are gaps too. They have nothing. So 8 to 11. Numbers 8 to 11 are gaps. Okay, so what's a peak? The peak is the number with the highest amount of data points. Which is the peak in this example? Obviously 3. 3 has the most data points. So therefore, it's the peak. The last one is any outliers. That's any lone number, any lone data point that is far away from everybody else. Do you see any lone data point that is far away from everybody else? Look at 12 over here. He's so lonely. He has no one, no points. He's just on its own little world all by itself, getting ready to get eaten by the five-fingered man. Rawr, I'm the five-fingered man. Yeah, 12 is an outlier. It's all by itself, and it's all away from all the fun. And it's actually about to die by this five-fingered man. So any data point that's about to be eaten by a five-fingered man is an outlier because they're all alone. So 12 in this case is the outlier. So you should be able to do this. Be able to find stuff like this in a graph. Ask me if you have any questions.